Hey everyone, so this is the Samsung S4 Mini, see right there, and this is now over 10 years old. So let's talk about using this in 2024, and of course it is not really all that usable anymore. So for instance here, so it does still connect to my Wi-Fi, which is Wi-Fi 6, which is good. But we'll go on to here, we'll go to like Google, and it's actually pretty quick going on to like Google and stuff like that. But you guys can see it kind of has a lot of bleed through. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's bleeding through stuff that's like, I'm not even sure. It just has a lot of weirdness behind it here. It's bleeding through. I think it's actually like a keyboard. So we go on Google here. We can look up some stuff. So like before I put in beta. And again, it's actually decently quick. Like it's not that slow, which is kind of surprising. So if I go on like images here, if I click on one of these, like it will actually load this in. But if I try to go to a website, it just does not load in websites. Something that goes for like pretty much anything. So try to go like target.com, whoops, or TA. So I try to go to Target, right? It'll do the Google search, but it'll not let me go onto the actual website. So I can look up pictures and stuff, but that is about it. And if I try to go onto like YouTube here, it says, you have to install a newer version of it from the Google Play Store. So okay, go ahead and hit that. Every time I've tried adding in an account here, it just does not work. It just will not let me do it. It just keeps saying I'm not typing in my information correctly. I've tried like probably 10 times now with a couple different accounts. It just does not want to work. So I can't even go on like YouTube or anything like that. Now there are some apps that will work, like this little S memo here. So I go ahead and hit that. I can go ahead and get off of the eraser. Go ahead and I can draw on here. I can make memos, I can make voice memos. I can add in pictures and stuff. So like this actually does work. And it has a mapping thing there, which I don't know how well that will work. But it does have all this stuff they can do on this memo. I mean, that's one thing that does work. There are other apps on here. So, again, you do have like voice search. I don't know how well that'll work, but you do have voice recorder, which will work. But then so we can go ahead and do a voice recorder here. So we go ahead and do a voice recorder here. So we go ahead and do a voice recorder here. So that does work as well. So basic stuff like that does work still. Of course, you do have a camera. Now, of course, it's not going to be the best of cameras. I mean, it's not terrible. Actually, it isn't terrible for how old this phone is. I mean, it's doable, but it's not good. It's not a good camera by any means. Of course, again, this is a over 10-year-old phone. Again, anything you try to do on Play Store, for me, it just is not working. Maybe that's this device, this one I have right here, but it just will not work. Of course, you do have gallery, so if you do take in pictures, that will all be in there. And you can actually see, like, going through this is actually pretty quick. Like, actually isn't bad. Then there are other things. I mean, you do have, like, Polaris Office here, so it'll be for writing your notes. But, of course, you have to sign into it if you want to do that, which I'm not going to do on this old of a phone. You also have news here, but again, you have to add an account. Again, just is not working for me. And then, of course, you have your basic, messages, your contacts, your phone, stuff like that. Long as the SIM, if you have a SIM card in, this one is through AT&T, which I do not have. But if you have that, of course, that stuff should still work. I believe this is a 4G phone, which is pretty good for being a 10-year-old phone. Of course, it's not 5G. That was not a thing back then. But I want to say again here, anything that needs an update, which is going to be a lot of these apps, for me, are just not working because I cannot sign into my Google account. It just does not work, which is kind of a disappointment. But I mean, being a 10-year-old phone, thing is kind of cool. You see how tiny this thing is? So I have here my little iPhone 13 mini, and you can see it is smaller than my mini. And of course, the screen is way smaller than the mini's is. There's some Face ID there, face unlock there. You can see how much smaller the screen is than the mini, and this of course is a very small phone by today's standards. Both are about the same thickness though. But I mean, overall, this is kind of a cool looking little phone. You can see it has some, it's not actual texture, but it looks like texture there. It has some, what kind of, I think it's called like black smoke or something like that when I looked it up. You actually have a speaker back here, which is interesting. It does actually have a flash on it with your one little camera. It does actually have a front-facing camera there as well. And you have your earpiece there. This does take micro USB, because I don't think USB-C was a thing back then. I mean, and you have your power button there. And then we have a actual headphone jack. And actually it says Qualcomm 4G on it, which is pretty cool. If I get that focus, it won't focus. And then you have your volume rocker there. And then, as far as I know, this is actually, you can actually take off this back plate right here as well. And when you do that, you have this little tiny piece of plastic. You have a battery here. You can see here is, well, whatever that would be. You guys can do the math there if you want. Let's see if that, there we go. So 11.78 watt hours, 3.8 volts. So whatever that comes out to be. I know it's a pretty small battery. We also have a micro SD card slot expansion there. And then we have our, this would be, again, for AT&T, we have our SIM card right here. So that is kind of cool. And you can actually get to this stuff, which you cannot do with too many modern phones. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. Hope you all have a good one.